Assembly. Of course, in exercising its legislative power, the National Assembly may consider, pass, amend, or reject any legislation before the Assembly. And two, B of that of Section 55 is to initiate or prepare legislation, except money bills. These are big functions, these are important functions that the National Assembly is now empowered with and will go forward with in these next 5 years.
And we've seen recently some of those responsibilities of powers of the National Assembly that are highlighted here. Remember that not so long ago, last year, the President signed into law the Electoral Amendment Act, Electoral Amendment Bill. He signed it into law. It's now an Electoral Amendment Act of 2023. He has signed it, which is why we're able to have independent candidates during the elections. Of laws have also been signed by the President, which is the powers that the National Assembly has. Those laws would have been processed here in the National Assembly before being transferred to the President for assent. And further to that, the Section 55(2) of that indicate that the National Assembly must provide for mechanisms to ensure that all executive organs of state in the national sphere of government are accountable to it, and to maintain oversight of, one, the exercise of national executive authority, including the implementation of legislation and any organ of state.
Of course, we have always had a National Assembly that is robust. Members do not fear giving their opinions and sharing what it is, any reservations that they might have with whatever the business of the National Assembly is at that moment. And of course, I think it's important then we should highlight on the privilege of members of the National Assembly, and this is highlighted in Section 58 of the Constitution, and it says that cabinet members, deputy ministers and members of the National Assembly have freedom of speech in the Assembly and in its committees, subject to the rules and orders, and are not liable to civil or criminal proceedings, arrest, imprisonment or damages for anything they have said in, produced before, or submitted to the Assembly or any of its committees. Secondly, anything revealed as a result of anything that they have said in, produced before, or submitted to the Assembly or any of its committees. The second part of this section of the Constitution says that other privileges and immunities of the National Assembly, cabinet members and members of the Assembly may be prescribed by the national legislation. And I think it's important that we highlight this to show you that members of the National Assembly are here to represent the people that have voted them into power. And of course, when it comes to freedom of speech, this is necessary to ensure that the voices of their constituents, the voices of the people that voted for them are heard within the parliamentary representatives.
That's perfect, Seppo. Just to give you a brief background also on the role of the Deputy Speaker, because according to the Assembly rules, whenever the Speaker is absent or unable to perform the function of his or her office, or when the office is vacant, then the Deputy Speaker must act as a Speaker. And I'm sure our viewers at home will remember that before the end of the 6th Parliament, we saw that the National Assembly, when the acting Speaker had to assume, when the acting Speaker, Mr. Tsinori, was then a Deputy Speaker, had to assume the role of the Deputy Speaker. And then the Deputy Speaker would then preside over a sitting of the House whenever requested to do so. She will also preside over the meeting of the Rules Committee and Program Committee when the Speaker is absent or when requested to do so. Just as we were mentioning earlier, that the position of the Deputy Speaker does not need to be overlooked. It comes with a huge responsibility, because should the Speaker be absent or not be able to perform a function, then the Deputy Speaker will assume that role.
Now, Thembinkhosi, having spoken about the privileges that parliamentary members have and, of course, the powers that they have, especially looking at the freedom of speech, let's take a look at what is an MP.
An MP. Welcome to the Civics Academy Election Series. In these videos, we explore different aspects of elections and why they are a central feature of democracy. In this video, we look at the role and functions of elected representatives who represent us in Parliament. In a democracy, voters elect members of parliament called MPs to represent their interests. MPs have only temporary mandates and are accountable to voters. Voters do not have to re-elect them and the parties they might belong to if they do not deliver on their promises. Belong to a political party and represent their party in parliament. MPs that do not belong to a political party and are elected as individuals in their own right are called independents. The roles and functions of MPs. MPs are primarily responsible for ensuring that the work of Parliament is done. They should ensure that Parliament provides a forum for debating important national issues, passing laws, and holding the executive branch of government accountable. In detail, MPs have many responsibilities. Legislation. MPs debate, pass, or reject laws that are drafted by the executive branch of government. Occasionally, MPs also draft their own laws called private members' bills. Their key role is to ensure that the laws passed by Parliament are in line with the country's constitution and will improve the lives of citizens. MPs play an important representative role by providing a link between government and the people. MPs are tasked with consulting citizens and representing their views in Parliament. However, the way that an MP represents people's views depends on the type of electoral system in a country. In South Africa, we have a proportional representation, or PR system, in which voters vote for a political party and not for an individual MP. That means, in reality, many MPs represent the interests of their political parties first and foremost. The party chooses which of their party representatives will sit as MPs in Parliament. MPs are then accountable to their parties. In this type of system, it is difficult for MPs to consult or represent a particular group or area of people or constituency. To try to solve this dilemma, many countries with PR systems, like South Africa, have introduced constituency work for their MPs. We explain the role and function of political parties in more detail in our video, What are Political Parties? Constituency work. South African MPs have been allocated a constituency area or town by their political parties. MPs are required to do constituency work during specific times of the year. During these constituency periods, MPs have a duty to be available to the public, help solve problems, and report back to their constituents on what is happening in Parliament. And accountability. MPs also scrutinize and oversee the work of the executive and hold cabinet ministers and the president accountable. This includes regular questions which these executive members must respond to in Parliament. MPs also sit on parliamentary committees which oversee the work and spending of government departments. Debates. MPs participate in parliamentary debates, which are usually made public through the media. This helps to inform and instruct citizens about government policy and important current political issues. South Africa's MPs. South Africa has 3 types of elected representatives. Firstly, MPs at the national level sit in the National Parliament, which has 2 houses or chambers, the National Assembly, which represents the entire country, and the National Council of Provinces, which represents the interests of the provinces. There are 400 MPs in the National Assembly and 90 MPs in the National Council of Provinces. We explain what Parliament is in more detail in our video, What is the Legislature? Secondly, each province also has its own assembly called a provincial legislature, with varying numbers of members called MPLs, depending on the population of the province. Thirdly, South Africa also has representatives at the local level of government called councillors, forming municipal councils. We explain the types and functions of councillors in more detail in the Civics Academy Local Government series. All MPs are in powerful positions and can influence important laws and decisions that affect millions of people. There may be times when their personal or business interests conflict with their ability to look after the public interest. Therefore, all elected MPs, MPLs, and councillors must record their personal business and outside interests in a public register so that citizens can monitor any unethical or corrupt behavior. Summary: MPs are elected representatives, must act in the public interest, and are accountable to the citizens. You can find out who your party MP is in your area and contact them about issues that affect you. Remember that you must contact parliamentary MPs for national issues, MPLs for provincial issues, and your local councillor for concerns that relate to your immediate area. What is the legislature? Welcome to the Civics Academy Governance Series. In these videos, we explore different aspects of democratic governance and the concept of the separation of powers as one of the key features of democracy. In this video, we look at the legislative branch of government, its responsibility and tasks. Democracies are characterized by the separation of functions and powers between the three branches of government: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Each branch checks the power of the other two so that there is a balance of power between them. The legislature is responsible for passing laws and for holding the executive branch of government accountable. The legislative authority in the national sphere of government is vested in Parliament, which is the supreme legislative power in the country. At provincial level, the legislature is represented by the provincial legislatures, and in the local sphere by the municipal councils. In this video, we will focus on the national level and outline what Parliament is and what it does, in line with Chapter 4 of our Constitution. The South African Parliament is situated in Cape Town. It is the place where our elected representatives meet and carry out their work. Our Parliament is bicameral. That means that we have two houses of Parliament, known as the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. The National Assembly is made up of 400 representatives from different political parties, called Members of Parliament, or MPs. South Africans indirectly elect MPs every 5 years by casting votes for the party of their choice. Seats are then allocated to each party based on the number of votes the party received, using the proportional representation system. Each party compiles lists of candidates, and MPs are allocated from this list in the order the names are listed. 400 MPs are selected from national party lists, and the other half from provincial lists. A party needs to obtain about 45,000 votes for every MP representing it in the National Assembly. This system, therefore, minority interests to be represented in our legislature. Soon after the national election, the Chief Justice, who is the head of the We explain the role and functions of MPs and political parties, as well as different aspects of elections in the Civics Academy election series. The second House of Parliament is the National Council of Provinces. It came into existence in 1997 and is the body that represents provincial interests at the national level of the legislature. The National Council of Provinces has 90 members. They have 4 main functions or areas of jurisdiction. These are: 1. The consideration, amendment, and passing of draft laws, called bills. Bills are usually introduced by the executive, but they can also be introduced by MPs and are then discussed in parliamentary committees, which may amend provisions and approve them before both houses of Parliament vote on whether to pass them. Parliament must ensure that all bills conform to the provisions of the Constitution before being passed. Otherwise, a High Court can declare the law or parts of it unconstitutional and invalid. If this is confirmed by the Constitutional Court, the law has no force and effect, as if it was never passed. Parliament may also amend the Constitution with a 2/3 majority of votes. Furthermore, the Constitution requires Parliament to allow members of the public to participate in lawmaking processes through written submissions or by giving testimony before parliamentary committees. 2. The election of the President. At its first sitting after the election, the National Assembly elects the President from among its members. The leader of the political party that wins the majority of the seats in the National Assembly is nominated and elected as president. Once elected president, he or she becomes the head of the executive and stops being a member of parliament. 3. Oversight of the executive. Parliament approves the budgets of government departments and has the duty to scrutinize and oversee the work of the executive and to hold cabinet ministers accountable. The various committees of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces can call cabinet ministers to appear before them to explain their work and to answer questions about their work. In this way, the committees of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces ensure that the members of cabinet do their job properly. The president and his or her cabinet are also required to answer questions in Parliament and to defend their budget every year before the National Assembly. 4. Parliament provides a national forum for consideration of important issues. To achieve this goal, political parties table motions that must be debated and voted on. The National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces carry out their duties in different ways. Each house meets in its own plenary session to pass legislation and debate issues. In extraordinary circumstances, the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces can meet in joint sittings to debate important issues of the day or to listen to important speeches. Beyond these regularly scheduled plenary sessions, the President may at any time summon Parliament for an extraordinary sitting. Parliamentary work is done in a number of different committees, consisting of smaller groups of members. Committees enable members of Parliament to develop expertise and in-depth knowledge of the specific committee's area of responsibility, for example, health, education, or foreign policy. Each house has its own committees. Committees are, in general, proportionally representative of the parties in Parliament and headed by a chairperson. They are required to report regularly on their activities and to make recommendations to their house for debate and decision. There are a number of joint committees of the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces. For example, the Annual Constitutional Review Committee. Committee meetings are generally open to the public. Summary. The legislature is the representative of the people of South Africa. The 400 plus 90 representatives are given their mandates through regular elections and vote on issues of national importance in Parliament. Parliament is responsible for passing laws and for holding the executive branch of government accountable. The power of Parliament is limited by the Constitution. The judiciary checks the exercise of power by the legislature. Through its work, Parliament is tasked to make sure that the interests of the people of South Africa are represented in all their diversity.
Welcome back. You're still watching the live broadcast of the first sitting of the National Assembly. It is brought to you by Parliament TV on channel DSTV 408. And as you can see on the screen once again, the voting booths have been placed on the floor, and you can see the two ballot papers, which table, I think, before the Chief Justice proceeds with today's business, he will be asking the presiding officers there to show that there is nothing in the boxes, it's empty. We've seen that being done with the nomination of the Speaker, nomination of the Deputy Speaker. Now we expect to see it being done with the nomination of the President as well.
And of course, now we can expect that with this process that members will be called back into the chamber. They will cast their vote for their preferred candidate. And then after these votes have been concluded, proceedings will be suspended to count the votes. Of course, throughout the day, we have said that this has been an eventful day, and throughout the day, member representatives, party representatives rather, have been allowed to stay in for the counting of votes.
And we have a very democratic day where we've seen the National Assembly electing a Deputy Speaker, electing a Speaker of the National Assembly and a Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Safe to say, both from different parties, and both are women, which is very important, Tsepo, especially in our democracy, that we talk about the elevating women into positions of power, and we've seen it happening, and we hope that all the other institutions across will lead by the example that has been set by the National Assembly. But before we continue further on that, let's look at what is the role of the National Assembly.
Building our great South African nation together.
The Parliament of the Republic of South Africa consists of two houses, the National Assembly as well as the National Council of Provinces. These two houses exist to uphold the nation's hard-earned democracy. The National Assembly is elected to represent the people and to ensure governance by the people under the Constitution. This is done by overseeing the executive, passing laws, providing a national forum for public debate on important issues, and choosing the country's president from its members.
And I accordingly declare the Honorable Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa duly elected President of the Republic of South Africa.
The NA consists of 400 members of parliament who are elected through a system called proportional representation. The NA has various office bearers responsible for various functions, the most important being the presiding officers. At the beginning of each administration, one of the NA's very first responsibilities is to elect the presiding officers of the House, this being the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. They are entrusted to run the affairs of the NA. They oversee meetings and make sure that members of Parliament speak freely but adhere to the rules of the House. In addition, each political party in the NA elects a chief whip to run its affairs. As mentioned, Parliament passes laws. This is done by referring bills to committees for processing and debating those bills. The House can approve, reject, or refer bills back to committees for further discussion. The National Assembly also has a constitutional mandate to carry out oversight on the executive. Oversight is carried out by scrutinizing, monitoring, and overseeing the actions of the government or any other organ of state in respect to the implementation of the laws, the application of the budget, and observance of the Constitution. The National Assembly keeps the executive accountable by approving budgets, asking parliamentary questions, having parliamentary debates about the important issues, and by proposing and voting on motions relating to the work of government. All these efforts to make your future work better.
Welcome back to Parliament TV. Thank you for staying tuned. Of course, we are live at the City ICC, where the first sitting of the National Assembly is underway. It has been an eventful day throughout, and the order of the day was the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the election of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and now the election of the President of the Republic of South Africa, which you're seeing the visuals live right now, where the ballot members can await their ballot papers to cast their vote for their preferred nominated candidate for the President of the Republic.
And so what the Chief Justice will do once voting is ready, he will start calling members one by one in alphabetical order, where the members will step forward, go to the to the voting booth, and then make their vote between the two candidates that have been nominated, in this instance, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa and Mr. Julius Malema. And once the voting is done, then we will again, the Chief Justice will again suspend the House to allow for the counting of those votes, the same process that we had seen with the election of the Speaker and the election of the Deputy Speaker. So we're hoping that not long from now, especially once those votes have been cast, then will be again sitting as the nation and waiting to hear the outcome of those results on who will lead this country in the 7th Parliament.
Of course, the National Assembly is a representation of all South Africans and the demographics throughout. And right now, it's fascinating that we have two women that are holding the responsibility of the National Assembly. Of course, we have Ms. Toko Didiza and Dr. Annelie Lotrit, who is the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and of course Ms. Didiza as the National Speaker of the Speaker of the National Assembly, of course. And right now, I think after we've just highlighted the role of the National Assembly, it's important to look at the important symbol of the National Assembly when it's in procession. Let's look at the mess. Stay tuned.
Building our great South African nation together.
The mace is a symbol of the authority of the National Assembly. It is carried into the chamber by the Sergeant-at-Arms and announces the arrival of the Speaker of the National Assembly. It signifies that the House is formally in session and that its proceedings are official. Standing at 1.196 meters and weighing 9.86 kilograms, the current mace is a representation of South Africa's democracy. The new mace was designed to reflect the history, tradition, diversity, culture, and languages of South Africa. The mace also celebrates the country's natural beauty, its plant and animal life, and its rich mineral resources. Each element was carefully chosen with this in mind. Though it appears to be a single unit, the mace was made and fitted in sections on an aluminium core. At the head of the mace is an 18-karat gold drum covered in springbok skin, which in turn is attached to the drum by 18 buttons made from South African minerals and gemstones. On top of the drum rests a book made from gold on which, in raised text, is an extract from the preamble to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The drum features images of South Africans going about their daily business. Some of the depictions that can be seen on the drum is a miner, saxophonist, machinist, architect, builder, soccer player, forklift driver, scientist, teacher, doctor, domestic worker, a woman with a baby on her back and a hoe in her hand, a woman driving a tractor, and children reading and working. The images are designed to look like African woodcuts and were chiseled by hand to create a three-dimensional look. The drum is fitted on a gold neck illustrated with dancing sand figures. 3 platinum discs in decreasing size connect the head of the mace to the shaft. The shaft is made of aluminium and inlaid with cherry and boxwood. The top of the shaft is encircled by an 18-karat gold band with 6 black and 6 white half-carat diamonds set into it. Beneath this is the South African coat of arms in full-color enamel. 2/3 from the top of the mace is a beaded South African flag. The white on the flag is represented by 800 platinum or white gold beads, the yellow by 70 yellow gold beads, and the red, green, blue and black by colored glass beads. Before the mace tapers to the end is another gold band of 6 black and 6 white diamonds, and then another band of platinum. The shape of the mace recalls the Nobgiri, an African symbol of defense, authority and leadership. The drum, which forms the head of the mace, is an expression of the African tradition of using drums to call people together for a meeting. It's also a reminder that South Africa's transition to democracy was achieved through dialogue, with Parliament serving as a place where many different voices are heard. Gold is one of the core ingredients in the mace. Archaeological finds show that gold has been mined and used in African culture for centuries. Its use in the mace symbolizes the country's natural wealth and also the ancient indigenous gold mining traditions. The open book on top of the drum symbolizes the Constitution of South Africa and the principles around which Parliament functions. The Constitution is the supreme law of the country and plays a central role in the development of a new South Africa. This is echoed in its position at the top of the mace. The writing on the open pages of the book is the first line of the preamble to the Constitution in each of the 11 official languages and one line from an extinct Khoisan language. The platinum rings found at intervals along the shaft of the mace recall the rings worn by Ndebele women. Under the first set of platinum rings, at the base of the drum, is an image of two Khoisan taken from the Linton Stone, a world-famous example of South African rock art dating back at least 20,000 years. The image is a symbol of social interaction, coherence, and interdependence, all elements needed for a country such as South Africa to grow and prosper. The result of all this is a mace that recalls the past, mirrors the present, and looks forward to the future.
Welcome back. As you can see on your screen, the National Assembly members are starting to settle down, and we're hoping that any time from now on, the voting for the President of the Republic of South Africa will commence, but we are still waiting as members are seated. The voting booth seems to be ready, so we're just waiting for the printing of those ballot papers to be completed before we go on the vote. Just as I'm mentioning that, the bell has just gone off, which ordinarily will ring for 10 minutes before the House resumes. So we're hoping that very soon we will be bringing you the voting for the election of the President. And that vote, like that of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, will be a secret ballot.
Of course, Tim Nkosi, what has led to this moment is the national and provincial legislatures elections on the 29th of May 2024, when members of the public cast their vote and made their voices heard. I think the most important thing also is to consider the fact that there are other role players in the IEC and in the elections, key observers, just to ensure that elections are free and they are fair. Let's take a look at the African Center of Governance, a representative thereof, and let them share their views with us.
Election observation, including special voting, is one of the crucial components for ensuring integrity and transparency for electoral processes. Joining me now is Mr. Tendai Mbanje. He's from the African Center for Governance. Good afternoon, Mr. Mbanje, and thank you for talking to Parliament TV.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Mr. Mbanje, can you take us through or give us an overview of the role of the Center in relation to the South African elections?
Thank you so much. And our role has been mainly to involve ourselves in civic education that relates to stages of the electoral processes. As you are aware that elections are 5-year cycle. So what we do in the 5-year, we engage the work of the IEC on its various stages. For example, if it is about voter education, if it's about encouraging people to register to vote, any education around electoral processes, we are experts in that area, and we work with communities, we work with civil society groups to empower and to educate people around electoral processes.
What were some of the critical issues that you picked up during your observer mission in the voting stations?
So what we involved ourselves was we focused on various stages of the electoral process, but much more of our emphasis was to events leading to the election day. So what we did was to train our observers. We trained a number of observers, both local and from the region, who formed a group of impartial observers whom we deployed in 8 provinces, except the Northern Cape. So we observed special voting. What we picked up was much of our observers noted that there was a gap in terms of the security or the safety of polling staff when they move home to home, when they are helping people to cast their vote, because they were putting the ballots in small bags. So we could identify that anything could happen to those votes, and also could happen to the security of the staff. So one of our recommendations to say the IEC must find ways to ensure that there is security of those who are administering the voting process, and also that process is well observed, because much of the observers did not focus on that special voting. So much of our special voting identified such gaps. Then when it came to the actual election day, we noted low presence of law enforcement in many polling stations. We also noted low presence of observers, domestic observers. So much of the polling stations that we visited, we hardly met observers. So that was quite worrying, to say maybe there wasn't sufficient work that was put in trying to encourage civil society organizations. Perhaps they don't have resources into election observation, which is the area which is crucial to provide oversight to this important occasion. Then major complaints came to the VMDs, voter management devices, how to use them. I think there's still room on how those technologies could be improved. But overall, I think we did not pick any red flags or any issues that could pose the credibility of this election to stake. So overall, I think more than 600 polling stations we observed across the country, we did not meet major issues of worry apart of logistical challenges that the IEC faced.
I understand that you have already produced a preliminary report. Can you take us through to some of the findings and the recommendations that are contained in the report?
So some of our findings, what I've highlighted about the election technology, mainly about the election technology. We really commended the IEC for being transparent in terms of communication of throughout the election cycle. We could realize that if you go to IEC website, you get information that today there was issue about the system that was not working. The IEC communicated. For me, that is quite fundamental. That's quite huge. So communication was very key, and the IEC was very open to engage stakeholders. The door was open. We could go and engage, and we were invited for several briefings. I think that was professional, and also we commended the professionalism of IEC staff during the electoral process itself. I thought that was quite phenomenal, because most of the staff that we interacted with were very professional. Although there were glitches here and there, but you could see that the level of professionalism was maintained. So those kind of things we highlighted. And also we highlighted that the strength of institutions, state institutions, actually made easier the work of the IEC. We realized that this election was highly litigated. There were court cases in and out, and we just realized that that did not compromise the work of the IEC. I think that actually solidified the work of the IEC. So those were overall findings, but our recommendations were to say the IEC must be over-prepared. I think this election, they used the data from previous elections to analyze the trend and perhaps prepare for this election, which took them by surprise in my view. So I think there's need to over-prepare and perhaps to moderately prepare for an election. So in terms of logistics, that's where the challenge is, but and also in terms of improving election technology. But overall, in terms of the legal frameworks, compliance to the Constitution, the standards, and I think there has been commendable efforts that we see that IEC did.
And from there, to then say that the South African elections, the 2024 South African elections, were credible, fair, and free.
As election observation missions, we don't certify elections to say the election was free and fair, because to determine whether the election was free and fair, it's a very complex issue. But we talk about the credibility in terms of meeting international standards, in terms of the laws, whether the IEC acted in its mandate, the IEC complied with the Constitution, the IEC complied with the Electoral Act. I think the courts of law kind of confirmed that. Even the IEC's, in its own motion, to approach the Constitutional Court to ask for the interpretation of certain legal texts. I think that was fundamental and was phenomenal. So I think if you analyze how the IEC acted, we could see that they were operated in the confinements of the law. But when it comes to logistics, this is not legal. I think that there is an over-assessment that the IEC did to to a larger extent, follows those standards.
Since you cannot declare whether the elections were free and fair, out of 10, what would you give the IEC? And secondly, where will members of the public be able to get hold of the criminal report that you have produced?
I cannot say for certain out of 10 or where the IEC stands, because the process is still going on. You realize that what we have done is a portion. We still have to observe this process and the declaration of results and the post-election period. So our report is a comprehensive report. So the election cycle is not finished yet. So we cannot give an assessment because we are still in the process. It's like you have cooked halfway and then you say, can you give an assessment of how this meal tastes? It needs to be fully cooked.
Mr. Mbanje, thank you very much for talking to Parliament TV.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Mr. Tendai Mbanje of the African Center for Governance sharing with us on the observer mission that they've conducted with these 2024 general elections.
In the month of June, Parliament joins the nation in commemorating Youth Month, a time to recognize the contributions and aspirations of the youth in our society, a time to reflect on the struggles faced by young people in the past and to celebrate their achievements in shaping the future. Youth Month holds great significance in South Africa as it marks the anniversary of the student uprising in 1976, when young people took to the streets to protest against the oppressive apartheid education system. Their courage and sacrifice have paved the way for a more inclusive and equitable society. Parliament acknowledges the importance of investing in the youth, as they are the future leaders, innovators, and change makers. It is committed to creating an enabling environment for young people to thrive, providing access to quality education, skills development, and economic opportunities. Through various initiatives and legislation, Parliament aims to address the challenges faced by the youth, such as unemployment, inequality, and limited access to resources. It recognizes the need for inclusive policies that empower young people and ensure their active participation in decision-making processes. As we commemorate Youth Month, let us reaffirm our commitment to supporting the youth and working towards a society where every young person can reach their full potential. Together, let us build a brighter future for the youth of South Africa. Parliament, empowering the youth for a better tomorrow.
Bells are ringing here at the City ICC, indicating that proceedings are about to resume at the first sitting of the National Assembly. Of course, the order of the day has been the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the election of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, and of course, we are in the process of the election of the President of the Republic.
Yeah, as you can see, Tsepo, on your screen, members settling down. As the Chief Justice is going to be resuming the House sitting. But let me just give you a brief background on what Ms. Didiza did before she came to Parliament. I have indicated earlier that she joined Parliament in 1994, but before becoming a member of Parliament, Ms. Didiza worked in several organizations in various capacities, including the Secretary General of the Women's National Coalition that produced the first Women's Charter for Effective Equality, which was tabled in the first Parliament. Mr. Didiza holds, among others, a BA degree majoring in sociology and politics and an honors degree in politics. I just thought it's important that we highlight that so the members and our viewers are aware of the kind of women that this Parliament has elected into the positions of power.
And of course, members of the public can expect that members will be called to the chamber to cast their secret ballot vote for the election of the President of the Republic. Of course, members are making their way, they're interacting with each other and engaging, probably anticipating what the election results are going to look like. Of course, we have two nominees, that is Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa and Mr. Julius Malema, who is the other nominee for the President of the Republic. So let's go to proceedings. Stay tuned.
You may be seated. Honorable members, we shall now resume the proceedings. The assistant returning officers will now show that the ballot boxes are empty and they will close them. Thank you. The procedure to be followed is as follows. Members will be called in alphabetical order according to their surnames. When their names are called out, members must collect a ballot paper from the voting table. The returning officers will not call members who have not been sworn in. After collecting a ballot paper, each member must proceed to one of the ballot booths and make a clear cross in the box alongside the name of the nominated member of his or her choice. You may not make any other mark other than a cross. If you make any other mark, it will be a spoiled paper. After making the mark on the ballot paper, and while still in the booth, members should fold their paper in a way that the official mark can be seen by the returning officer at the ballot box. After the returning officer has noted the mark on the ballot paper, members should deposit it in the ballot box and resume their seats. The returning officer will now call upon members to vote.
Abrahams, ALA. Adams, F. Adams, RC. Alexander, WR. Apiri, MJ. Atkinson, PG. Ocamp, WAS. Bahrain, M. Bapti, EV. Bartlett M, Basson LJ, Bateman AG, Bath EM, Beasley AD, Bergman D, Bila TJ, Bilankulu NK, Blosse MB, Botlani TK. Goldman NJ, Bushielo SP, Boshoff WJ, Wattiers A, Breitenbach G, Björk MJ, Benz Namasha Z, Butelezi EM, Butelezi NZ, Butelezi SA. Cameron I, Kapa RN, Tebekulu RN, Chabane MS, Chance RWT, Chauke BF, Chauke T, CHTM, Chikunga LS, Christians DC. Christy KA, Clark MO, Klute EA, Chrissy BD, Cuthbert MJ, Davids SW, De Bloch van Schelter, AD, De Brain K, De Lil P, De Villiers JN.
Derna H, Dlomo SM, Diale BK, Didiza AT, Dikhale MC, Direko DR, Ditebe SL, Dlakude DE, Dlamini MM, Dlamini M. Dlelanga M, Dagmore CM, Dundra ML, Engelbrecht J, Isaac F, Freeman E, Frenchman S, Frolic CT, Ghana SM. Kancho N, Dilishe S, Twabaza NB, George DT, Gigaba KMN, Kina N, Godlimpi Z.
Honorable members, please. There is noise. Members whose names are being called out will not hear.
Kina N, Godlimpi Z, Kodongwana E. Gondwe MM, Gross R, Governor Y, Graham Murray SJ, Groenewald PJ, Gungubele M, Kwahube S, Hadebe NM, Ala MM, Hassan F. Hatting C, Hendricks MGE, Tlabisa VF, Hlengwa M, Hlongo AS, Hlonyana KNF, Holomisa BH, Horn W, Hansinger CHA, Ismail H.
Jacobs L.C., James D.E., Jonas G.F., Jordan C., Kihakilwe B.M., Kekana B.S., Khabo G.D., Khobisa Ngaba K, Khachau KL.
Kanyile TA, Kaula MS, Kojane SG, Kumalo JQ, Klopper DD, Kobe, Kobe MP, Kola D.
Kamani LM, Kurnov GW, Krier HCC, Kubai MT, Kumbaka AN, Kwankwa NLS, Labaskachni C, Lamola RO, LaRue KWD, Lechuta MD.
Lekhanyane MS, Letlape MS, Letlape TKS, Letsie WT, Letsike MSE, Legaraba LE, Linde E, Lorima JRB, Lotrit A, Low STD.
Lucas SE, Lutuli BN, Mabe BP, Mabena TB, Machi BE, McPherson DW, Matikizela BS, Maduna N, Mayeko SM.
Magagula TE, Mahambehlala T, Mahlangu SS, Mahlatsi LW, Mahlaule MG, Mahlobo MD, Maumapelu SOR, Mailula PR, Maimani MA.
Maimela KJ, Majodina PCP, Majozi Z, Makasi N, Mahato MP, Makubela LS, Malatsi MS, Malema JS, Malimacha CN,
Teacher.
Manaha L, Manamela KB, Maneli PM, Mandasha GS, Manyi M, Mautwe OMC, Marais EJ, Marais P, Mahau TL, Masango PS, Maseko LM, Masemola ND, Mashabela NR, Mashatile SP, Mashele TV, Masina MC, Masondo D, Maswanganyi MJ, Matabata CS,
Matafa OM, Matale CC, Matulelwa B, Matthias L, Matiase NS, Matsone NWA, Bio IM. Mackenzie G, Maklua JJ, Mchunu ES, Mchunu TVB, Mdluli MM, Mentenkuna NV, Meshwe KRJ, Meth N.
Mcina PS, Mkweba T, Mahaule MR, Mhlauli NB, Mhlongo NH, Mikalakis G, Milham KJ. Mkalipi HO, Mkize ZL, Mkonto CN, Mkwebane BJ, Mkutu L, Molotsane ML, Mwango MA, Mnganga Gabashe LA.
Modise Mcha M, Moela MS, Mufukeng ML, Morale TP, Mohai SJ, Mukhala MR, Mukwena, JL Mukwena, LG, Mulwele NA. Montwedi MK, Mo SJ, Moraka AT, Murolong IK, Musikatsi S, Mutsecha MA, Mutwaledi PA.
Mpiti L, Mkhacha M, Ntolo NE, Mulda CP, Munyai TB, Mutambi AF. Mvana NQ, Myberg NG, Nalumango RS, Ndabeni Abrahams ST, Ndalane NA, Ndamase P, Ndlozi MQ.
Yes, I did.
Nel May HE, Nel AC, Nemadzinga Chavalala J, Ngobo SL, Ngobeni LM, Nana ME, Nihas CG, Nkabane NP.
Nkopane NS, Nkosi NE, Nodada BB, Noluchungu NJ, Nontenja CT, Nontsele M, Ngola X, Ntlangwini EN.
Nchalenchale LL, Nchabeni KPS, Ntuli M, Nyonzo M, Nzimande BE, Nzuza NB, Pambo V, Peach WD.
Peterson JS, Phahla MJ, Phiri CM, Polwane MB, Plakis WTD, Pool CJ, Potgieter LR, Powell EL, Pule DD.
Ramaila KS, Ramaphosa MC, Ramokhupa ML, Ramokhupa KD, Ramalubing A, Ramungalo TR, Ruos AC, Rorke FS. Sangoni KLN, Sapo L, Sarupin AN, Sols A, Shicheling A, Scriber LA, Siabi AM, Setlulu IS, Sekowati SC, Silamulela SD, Seni MM, Shabangu FL, Shelembe ML, Shikwambana M, Shibambu NF, Shiviti TG, Sibia NM.
Simelane TP, Sing N, Sing S, Sitole KP, Sitole RJ, Siweya RT, Skosana GJ, Smith CFB, Smith R. Sokanyile T, Sokopo MM, Somba Masiu NS, Soju MM, Spice ERJ, Steinhazen JH, Subrathi SI, Swart SN, Swartz B, Tafeni N. Tetyana Y, Tembekwayo SS, Fring WM, Tikana Gotiwe W, Tito LF, Trong KC, Tolashe NG, Trolip RAP. Jotetsi NT, Van der Merwe LL, Van der Walt D, Van Staden PA, Van Zyl AM, Vilakazi SG, Wakelin KH, Webster NL, Vessels WW.
Whitfield AG, Velskat C, Xabantshaba PP, Xhego ST, Yako YN, Zibi SS, Zigalala S, Zondi S, Zondo SS, Zungula V.
Are they done? Are they done? Honorable members, Are there any members who wished to vote but have not voted as yet?
I think Honorable Zondo was called and the Chief Justice is still seated there, not voted.
The assistant returning officers will now close and seal the ballot boxes.
Chief Justice.
Yes? Yes?
Wanted to remind you about the observers for elections because...
Sorry?
Wanted to remind you about observers for the counting of votes. Because in the other part, you almost took us towards a crisis. Can we confirm?
We will do as we did earlier.
Thank you. No, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. May I find out whether the parties will send the same representatives that they sent before?
Yes, they are going to do so.
It will be the same. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I therefore now suspend proceedings to enable the returning officers to count the votes and report to me. We shall resume proceedings when the bells are rung. The proceedings are suspended.
On the election of the new president, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa,
In the month of June, Parliament joins the nation in commemorating Youth Month, a time to recognize the contributions and aspirations of the youth in our society, a time to reflect on the struggles faced by young people in the past and to celebrate their achievements in shaping the future. Youth Month holds great significance in South Africa as it marks the anniversary of the student uprising in 1976, when young people took to the streets to protest against the oppressive apartheid education system. Their courage and sacrifice have paved the way for a more inclusive and equitable society. Parliament acknowledges the importance of investing in the youth, as they are the future leaders, innovators, and change makers. It is committed to creating an enabling environment for young people to thrive, providing access to quality education, skills development, and economic opportunities. Through various initiatives and legislation, Parliament aims to address the challenges faced by the youth, such as unemployment, inequality, and limited access to resources. It recognizes the need for inclusive policies that empower young people and ensure their active participation in decision-making processes. As we commemorate Youth Month, let us reaffirm our commitment to supporting the youth and working towards a society where every young person can reach their full potential. Together, let us build a brighter future for the youth of South Africa. Parliament, empowering the youth for a better tomorrow.
Honorable members, we will resume our proceedings. I have received the returning officer will furnish me with the report of the counting. Honorable members, I've now received a written report from the returning officer. The result of the ballot is as follows. The total number of ballot papers issued is 339. The total number of ballot papers counted is 339. The total number of spoiled to invalid ballot papers is 12. And the candidates' votes are as follows. Honorable J.S. Malema, 44 votes. Honorable MC Ramaphosa, 283 votes. Honorable members, in terms of item 6 of Part A of Schedule 3 of the Constitution, I accordingly declare Honorable MC Ramaphosa duly elected President
Ramaphosa.
I have the honor as
We can now hear the song from the DA.
And we have now come
What is the song
to
from the
end
DA?
of my role in this house. Before I request the Speaker to take the chair, I want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for the cooperation and dignified manner in which everybody conducted themselves today. It was indeed a real honor and privilege for me to preside in the proceedings of this House. Thank you very much. I now request the Speaker to take the chair.
Long live the President.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order. Honorable members, we will have the time to make our reflections and also celebrate. But there are certain issues that still have to be done before we can ululate and do so joyously. Congratulations, Mr. President-elect. Honorable members, I thank the Chief Justice for having conducted these proceedings. I will now afford each political party 2 minutes to give their congratulatory messages and the President-elect an opportunity to address the House. Order, honorable members. I will start with the Democratic Alliance, followed by the Economic Freedom Fighters, followed by the Inkatha Freedom Party, the Patriotic Alliance, the Freedom Front Plus, Action SA, African Christian Democratic Party, United Democratic Movement, Rise Mzansi, Build One South Africa, African Transformation Movement, Al-Jamaa, NCC, PAC, UAT, Good, and the ANC. Can we now start with the Democratic Alliance? You have got 2 minutes. It's there on the timer. When it's finished, we can close.
Madam Speaker, congratulations on your election. Mr. President, congratulations on your election. I think today is a historic day for our country, and I think it is the start of a new chapter of building, a new chapter of cooperation, a new chapter of us putting our country and its interests and its future first. In this election, the voters chose not to give any party its own majority. In doing so, they have told us that they want us to work together to build a prosperous, non-racial, united South Africa with a growing economy that works for everybody. We must now, as the members of this House, rise to that occasion and rise to the call of South Africa. Despite the political party T-shirts that we wore during the election, each and every one of us is first of all a South African. Our country needs us now to step up, to end the era of finger pointing, and to start a new era of collectively putting our shoulder to the wheel to ensure that the country that we all love prospers into the future, and that the people that we have been sent to this house to serve get value for money and ensure that we give effect to the dreams, the hopes and aspirations of every South African. The Democratic Alliance and I look forward to working with you, Mr. President, and the rest of the team that will be forming part of the Government of National Unity to put our country first, to take hands and to work collectively in the interests of the people we serve and the country we love. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. The Economic Freedom
Thank you
Fighters.
very much, Madam Speaker. Congratulations to you. And you know very well that under normal circumstances, would have ordinarily supported you because we believe in your commitment to a parliament that is going to work effectively and efficiently. We have an experience of working with you even before, and we do not doubt your capacity. Our contestation of you was necessarily to contest the betrayal of our people, and it has nothing to do with you as an individual. Congratulations, Mr. President. We accept the results and the voice of the people of South Africa, which was expressed on the 29th of May. And we also accept the results of today's gathering because it's a reflection of a democratic practices. But we contested because we wanted to demonstrate to South Africa that we do not agree to this marriage of convenience to consolidate the white monopoly power over the economy and the means of production in South Africa. This marriage, it's a marriage that seeks to undermine the changing of property relations in South Africa. We refuse to sell out. We have never done so when we're young, and we're not going to do so today. We don't have a history of being collaborators. We are going to ensure that this parliament is functional. We can reassure you that we will not fight with any bouncer. We are going to be the best and effective opposition that is going to ensure that both you and the DA are held accountable. This is not a government of national unity. This is a grand coalition between the ANC and the white monopoly capital.
Honorable
History
member,
will
your time
judge
is
you
over.
and judge you harshly. Thank you.
Inkatha Freedom Party. Order, honorable members. Can we allow the speaker on the podium to make his speech? Honorable Sabisa.
Congratulations to you, Honorable Speaker and Deputy Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the IFP, I congratulate His Excellency Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa on election as the President of the Republic of South Africa. This is the beginning of a new era. The IFP stands ready to serve in the government of national unity, knowing that South Africa is utterly changed by the 2024 election results and the decisions that have been taken in the best interest of our country. We enter the GNU With an open mind and eyes wide open, we have hope that the IFP's vision to rebuild South Africa take root as we provide our contribution to strengthen governance, creating social justice, and securing economic development. We may not be able to silence those voices. That is a lot of those who lead in difficult times, but will be remembered as people of courage who chose to work together for the good of South Africa. Honorable President, rest assured of this. We will support you on every right decision, but where we must disagree, we will do so and advance valid reasons of our disagreement. The IFP will not be diluted nor lose its identity. Not to support the ANC, the DA, or any other political party, but for the interest of the people of South Africa. We wish you well, Honorable President.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The Patriotic Alliance.
Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate you. Mrs. Lothrit, I'd like to congratulate you, and I did vote for you. I would like to congratulate the President, Mr. Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa. This country, I'm standing here as a person that got a second chance. 96% of guys that come from prison go back to jail. And my being here comes with a hope that I can show them that you don't need to go back to jail. And I think this country has gotten another chance. And when you get a second chance, you must use it optimally. I think the voters gave all of us a second chance. I would like to congratulate the ANC for accepting the result, even if they didn't get 50%. The world is full of stories of presidents that only accept results when they get over 50%. I will support the GNU, and I'm proud of the GNU. And as the leader of the DA has said, we're done with politicking. We might wear different t-shirts. There will be those amongst us that will call us sellouts only because they are not part of it. But we've learned from them. When they were doing it in 2016, they were not sellouts. They don't have the only right. They have given themselves the right that if they work with white people, then it is fine.
Honorable member,
when
your
we work
time
with
is
white
up.
people, then we are sellouts. They are the
Your
sellouts.
time is up.
Honorable member, time is up.
Begging for a job.
Freedom Front Plus. Freedom Front Plus. Over to you, sir. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, can we allow the speaker on the podium to make a statement?
Geachte Speaker, deur u en die agbare president, baie geluk. En ek wil begin om te sê dat as ons kyk, ons sit in 'n nasionale vergadering, and if you look at the banners, it says equality and diversity. It says cooperative governance, but it also says oversight and accountability. Honorable President, at the official announcement of the results at the Results Center, you said that each and every member of Parliament must remember that the seat you have does not belong to you, but to the people you represent. And I want to put emphasis on that, because that's our constitutional obligation as members of Parliament. Honourable President, the slogan of the Freedom Front Plus in this election was, let's restore and build. Kom ons herstel en ons bou. En dit is wat die Vryheidsfront Plus wil doen. Ons wil herstel en ons wil bou tot almal se voordeel. But we will always have oversight and accountability. Mag u die seën van ons hemelse Vader ontvang. Dis 'n groot las en taak op u skouers. Alleen gaan u dit nie regkry nie. Maar met die hulp van ons hemelse Vader kan ons Suid-Afrika 'n land vir almal maak. Baie seën en baie voorspoed.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Action SA.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of Action SA, please allow me to congratulate you on your election and the election on Madam Deputy Speaker. Congratulations, Mr. President, on your re-election. We pray on behalf of all South Africans that your second term in office will be considerably better than your first term in office, where we noted that corruption got worse, crime reached an all-time high, and the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality are more pervasive than ever before. We see that the media and social media are hailing this new grand coalition as the high road option. Well, that remains to be seen, because choosing the high road is one thing, but passing milestones that you have set yourself on the high road and passing milestones of progress on that high road is the acid test of success. The people of South Africa deserve a better government, and we pray that this will be a better government. And we undertake, as Action SA and a member of the opposition, that we will not oppose for the sake of opposing. Where you come with solid proposals that take this country forward, you'll have our support. Where you do not meet your milestones, we'll hold you to account, because we want to fix South Africa. All the best, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. ACDP.
Honourable Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, members of the press, fellow South Africans, the ACDP wishes to extend its congratulations to you, Honourable Speaker, and the Deputy Speaker. I'm sure the two of you are going to make an excellent team. We also want to extend our congratulations to newly elected President Ramaphosa, and we want to state clearly that this meeting is a pivotal moment in the history of this nation. After 30 years of democracy, South Africans have spoken. They are saying they are tired of having a one political party dominating the political scene. While others in the past have said South Africa needs a two-party state like America, they have rejected that. So we are grateful that they have said South Africans must learn to work together. And we believe if we work together, we put our heads together, we prioritize South Africans and not our political parties, then South Africa will turn out to be one of the best countries in the world. It should be, because we have the potential, we have the capacity to be one of the best. But as I close, I want to remind our members in this chamber that our politics and our challenges in South Africa are so many. Some of them, they look so difficult and impossible. And because of it, I must emphasize the fact that we need God's help. We all, as South Africans, must say, Yere, help us as a belief. The Lord bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. United Democratic Movement.
Our Honorable Speaker, the Chief Justice, Honorable President, and Honorable Members. Congratulations to you, Madam Speaker, and your Deputy. Allow me, on behalf of the United Democratic Movement, to congratulate you, Mr. Ramaphosa, on being elected as President of the Republic of South Africa for your second term. The problems facing this country are well documented, and they require a Marshall Plan to tackle them with a sound implementation strategy. Laziness and lack of discipline must not characterize the new government and its administration.
Thank you very much. Rise Mzansi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On behalf of Rise Mzansi, I would first like to thank the Chief Justice for an excellent job done during the proceedings today. I want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, on your election, and you, Mr. President, on your election. Today is a day on which we get to see the miracle of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. It's something we must never, ever take for granted, because other countries and society are not so fortunate as to have what we have in South Africa. Ours collectively is a very weighty task as public representatives. Fewer people trust the political system. Fewer people are voting. We need a strong parliament. We need trustworthy public representatives. We need a strong, ethical, and capable government in the executive, so that we may restore the trust of the South African people in our democracy. And the only way we can do that is to apply ourselves properly and with diligence to the task that the South African people have given all of us. Mr. President, you are everybody's president from today on, not just the African National Congress. All of us are committed to doing the best we can for the South African people. As one of my colleagues said, we will not oppose for the sake of opposing, but we will hold you and those in government to account when this is necessary, because the power that is bestowed on you and all of us is held in trust, and we must never abuse it. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member Bosa.
Honorable Chief Justice, to our Speaker, who's recently elected, fellow South Africans, Bagaetsu, Dumelang. It is indeed a question one has to grapple with. When I reflect on the 29th of May, I ask myself a question that actually comes from the Bible that says, can a nation be born in a day? I happen to believe the 29th of May gave us a new start, a fresh beginning. I happen to believe that South Africa will never be the same again. For that to happen, it's going to ask us a number of questions, Mr. President and Speaker. The first is, are we willing to put up our hands and say this country deserves better than what it has had in the last 30 years, and we will charter a way forward for a better 30 years? It asks us the more difficult question that says, could, as the Speaker of this House, hold the executive to account regardless of how it's put together, so that our people will know that all actions will be held accountable for the good of all the people. And that certainly, as Build One South Africa will be fighting to do. Mr. President, to you, I wish to say this to you, that your role in 1994 was one such of bringing this nation and drafting a constitution that built a new consensus. Today, the task feels a bit similar, even though in a different age. It asks of you to maybe in many ways ensure that the haves and the have-nots have a conversation so that all of us have something. It asks us the question to say where there are divisions in our country, we will pull together to build a united South Africa. I wish you well in that task, and I give you my assurance that when you want to build one South Africa, you will have my support. But when we differ from that, we will hold you to accountable. And may God bless our beautiful nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. ATM.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, on behalf of the ATM, I want to congratulate you for your election. Also want to congratulate the Deputy Speaker and the President that has been elected today. It is our view as the ATM that power is meaningless if it does not translate into a good quality of life and the resolution of the problems that are faced by the people. People do not elect parties for the sake of electing parties. They elect parties with the hope that their lives will improve for the better. It is for that reason, as the ATM, we hope that this government will indeed lead this country towards the resolution of all of the problems that are faced by our people. The root causes of the problems that we face in our country lies in the structure of the economy. The structure of the economy has remained unchanged or untransformed since 1994. And if that is not dealt with, then all of these problems will continue to multiply. The economy of our country is still in the hands of few families and oligopolies. In our view as a party, there needs to be fundamental changes in the structure of the economy, not cosmetic changes that won't bring any meaningful change in the lives of the people. We want to commit as the ATM that we'll continue playing our role in holding the executive accountable. And most importantly, we'll fight that Parliament does indeed fulfill its constitutional mandate. Congratulations once more. Thank you.
Thank you. Al-Jama.
Honorable Speaker, behind every president there is a First Lady. So I would like to say congratulations to the First Lady. Round of applause. I did give President Ramaphosa 10 out of 10 in the 6th Parliament for building a new civilization because of his concern for the lives of women and children in Gaza. Now in South Africa, our president is trying to build a new nation, and I don't know what I'm going to score because he is faced with a great challenge. People burn flags. People want to secede. So we'd like to wish the president everything of the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. NCC.
Honorable Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, Mr. President, congratulations on your election. Mr. President, it was 5 years ago that I begged you in Mitchell's Plain to do the right thing for the suffering colored people on the Cape Flats. You shook my hand, you said you would. You never did. Mr. President, 5 years ago you spoke to us about Tuma Mina. You mentioned the 9 wasted years. We should add your last 5 to it. Mr. President, I stand here today, delegated here by a community so desperate for change that they sent a recovering drug addict and reformed gangster to tell their story. Mr. President, the colored people are dying, and this House has done nothing about it. Mr. President, I want to support the government of national unity, but when you include the right-wing fringe into it, it makes it hard for me to get involved. We wish you well, because South Africa must succeed. And this success, Mr. President, lies at your door. But the voters are telling us that we do not have full support of the ANC anymore. Mr. President, this country is at a crossroads. One wrong move, and our poor will continue to die. Our fear is that the wrong move has already been made. I hope that we are wrong. Thank you.